Good day, Brutal Planet faithful. This is Eric Peterson in Salt Lake City, and today is my pleasure to be joined by of the band Vanquisher, Niord. How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. You all right?
Yeah, where are you joining us from?
Well, I'm joining you straight from our own studio and rehearsal place, actually. Well, I haven't, but the guys have built one. So that's super cool that we can, have our own space for that. It's not new, I wouldn't say, but, kind of. No, it's really awesome. We got all our stuff here, all the instruments and all the sort of extra skulls and flags and whatever we have on
Nice.
stage, so yeah, it's
And,
cool.
and you're in Sweden. You're in Sweden, right?
Yeah, southern Sweden, Scania, Skåne in Swedish.
Yeah.
So we're just there just before, we're close to Copenhagen, really, so to Denmark.
Oh, okay. And is that down by Malmo?
Yeah, exactly. So you take the train, half an hour, and then you're in Malmo. So
nice. How are things down there?
Well, in what way?
Well, I mean, just in general. I mean, how's the Corona stuff going and
Well, Sweden has been very kind of laid back with, in terms of the restrictions. I have noticed the contrast a lot because I normally live in Spain. I'm here over the summer, and in Spain, it's like you've had to wear the mask everywhere. Recently, maybe in May or so, it's been a bit more laid. It's been more laid back down there. But here in Sweden, I mean, every time I've visited here during the pandemic, it's been like as if it didn't even exist. Like
Oh, okay.
maybe. Sure, there was a time when the restaurants were, kind of used doing, like you could use, what's it, takeout. You could do that. But except for that, I mean, there's a general recommendation that you should wash your hands and all of that. Some signs at the workplaces and so on. But other than that, it's really not so different, I gotta say.
Well, it's funny because I talked to a lot of my friends in Sweden, and they said, oh, they told us we were supposed to stay 6 feet apart. We were supposed to stay 6 feet apart because of the Corona. And then they said, well, when can we go back to standing 20 feet apart?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, especially here in Scandinavia, you have a very kind of, well, I mean, people are very reserved, they're not so touching each other usually, so it's not much of a difference for us, I suppose.
So let's talk about a little bit about your debut album called An Age Undreamed of. But before we talk about it, I think it's necessary that we learn a little bit about Vanquisher first. Tell me about you guys and how long you've been together, and a little bit about the band.
All right. Yeah, sure. So we are 5 guys, so a 5-piece. We're an epic heavy metal band, I guess you could say. It's always difficult, trying to put a label on whatever, because we have a general kind of idea of what our genre is. I mean, it's metal music, but we dip our toes in a little bit of thrash every now and then, some power, and even a little bit of black metal kind of vibes, but we're an epic heavy metal band, themed around the short stories from Robert E. Howard about the world of Conan the Cimmerian. So the Hyborian Age is what we write literature lyrics about. We write our lyrics about that literature.
Okay. I noticed when I listened to you guys' album that I thought I could hear a little Iron Maiden in there. You have a lot of that twin guitar sound, the Iron Maiden sound, and I really enjoyed that part of it.
That's great.
Who are some of your influences for you personally?
Right. So I'm a big Manowar guy.
Nice.
You got that. Well, I listen to a lot of those kind of bands, like Manowar, but like this epic heavy metal stuff like Eternal Champion, and I really like Visigoth. But I'm also a bit into like more Nordic themed bands like Vardruna. And there's a really good band that not so many people know about from Sweden called Erevaltor. And they're like, well, for me, they sound kind of like what Bathory would sound like if basically Quorthon didn't die and, you know, and polished his stuff a bit more. So that's what I personally listen to.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then, so how does that translate into your guys' music?
Well, it translates to our music in the sense that I guess my vocal style gets compared to Eric Adams a lot,
Nice.
the front man from Manowar. Even though I try to, you know, not I try to have my own kind of style. But I was very inspired by him when I started out singing. So there was sort of like a foundation there, kind of trying to sound like, oh, he sounds really cool. I would sound like that. But I even though I don't play guitar live with the band, I actually do some guitar work behind the scenes. You know, I have
Nice.
written some of the sort of basic structures for songs like The Pride of Aquilonia and Battleborn. So many times what I say is that I write some of the skeletons that the guys then flesh out. But you know, this is a very dynamic group, and it's not really like a dictatorship where one guy says, well, this is how the song is gonna sound, you guys, you just play this. No, we're very democratic in that way, and I think that's great, because that improves the chances that we sound like Vanquisher and decreases the chances that we sound like one or two bands, you know, combined, you know.
Exactly.
That's what happens if just one guy decides everything. It's like, well, you have a guy who's really into Iron Maiden, and then the whole band sounds like Iron Maiden, you know. So
it was funny because you mentioned Visigoth, and they are Salt Lake City. That's where they're from.
Yeah.
So it was a fun little tie into there. So tell me a little bit about the new album, and tell me about some of the songs and how you got the stories behind the songs and that kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah, sure. You want me to talk? I could talk about each of them, but I don't know like how extensive you want me to be.
Just pick a couple of your favorites.
Okay. Well, you have I think one thing that is really particular is that we have this sort of cinematic epic intro thing called Nemedian Chronicle. And so many people are sort of familiar with Conan from the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course. And there in the beginning of that movie, you have an excerpt from a short story called the Phoenix on the Sword by Robert E. Howard, where they kind of quote like this sort of introduction, I guess you could say, poem to the Hyborian Age. But I actually made a thing out of doing the whole text. So when you listen to Nemedian Chronicle, the intro track to the album, that's word for word exactly what it says there in the short story. So I'm a kind of Robert E. Howard purist in a way. I really wanted to take it all the way and sort of, because I think Conan is a super heavy metal subject, like this muscular guy that goes around and kills things, and then he picks up some girls along the way, and so I really wanted our lyrical direction to go very much into the literature, but enough about that. You have so all of the songs are inspired by these short stories, this universe of the Hyborian Age. And I think just to talk about the sort of style, I think there's a bit of a variation of styles throughout the record. I mean, I think the album starts out kind of like, maybe you would expect an album with this sort of album art to start off like. The Pride of Aquilonia is a very like heavy power metal kind of state of affairs, but then you move on to Storming Venarium, which is a bit more speedier, thrashy song. And then
That's one of my
Otis-
favorite songs.
Yeah, you really like it? Yeah.
Oh, I love that song.
That's awesome to hear, man.
Yeah.
And for Ode to the Slain, we wanted like a sort of Viking feel. So there's a bit of a dark choir in the beginning. And that's totally intentional because we do sing, well, I do sing in that song about the lyrical matter is the sort of Nordheim region, which is, well, yeah, you know, like ancient Scandinavia, basically, inspired by Reaver, a bit more thrashy again. Cimmeria. The thing with Cimmeria, you can stop me, by the way, if I talk too much. That's fine.
No. I'm here to listen to you, man.
Okay.
But Cimmeria is another one of my favorites too.
Awesome. So Cimmeria, if you read the lyrics to Cimmeria, and then you read the poem Cimmeria by Robert G. Howard, you will see that there's a lot of sort of like similar vocabulary, and that's totally intentional. We didn't want to take the poem straight, like we didn't want to copy paste the poem and do it like that, but I really wanted to sort of like take as much of this sort of vibe and the vocabulary as I could, and sort of do our own little thing with it and evoke that sort of image of Conan's homeland, which is very cool, I think. Then after that, you have Trapped on Shamu's Plain, a bit of a heavier song, you know, starts off with a growl, which maybe take some people, you know, by surprise, because this, you know, we're not a death or black metal band, but I think it's cool. Lyrical matter there is basically first scene of the Scarlet Citadel. Great short story. All of the stories are by Robert D. Howard, so I don't have to say that a million times, I suppose. Battleborn comes after Trapped on Shamu's Plain, and I think Battleborn is my favorite.
Mine too.
I feel like, yeah,
love that
it's
song.
your favorite?
Battleborn, love that song.
Yeah. I mean, I feel a little bit, you know, like I'm a Swedish guy, so I'm supposed to be all humble, but you know, like I really love it. I wrote the sort of structure for it, and my idea when I wrote the structure was I want to write the most stereotypical heavy metal song ever. I think I was thinking a little bit of Master of Puppets in a way for the first riff, but you know, it just really became a great track, you know, and I think it sort of has this heavy yet epic feel to it, and it's really fun to play live and really fun to sing. I love it. It's basically all about, you know, the idea that, you know, Conan was born on a battlefield, literally, and so there's a little short part about that in the story. I think it's The Hour of the Dragon, where he says something quickly about, oh, I saw in my dreams the battlefield upon where I was born. I thought that was just a fucking hardcore thing, you know. Savage Sword comes after that. It's a little hint to a certain comic, you know, because you have the Savage Sword of Conan. Thought it would be kind of funny to make something with a title like that. I think it's one of our more hardcore songs. It's a bit quite thrashy, and I really get to scream my lungs out and show off some of that Slayer vibes in my vocals. It was really fun. I remember Cedric, the producer, he said that I was screaming until my face was red, but it was great. And just shortly, Priest and Set and Serpent God towards the end, you know, these are our sort of darker songs. And I like that. I like that there are sort of different branches of our musical tree, you know, and so we kind of set the stage here with our debut album, which means that we can go in these directions kind of as much as we want, and it's not going to be strange. People are not going to say, oh, how come you have a, you know, like a more Viking-ish sounding record now? Because we can always say, well, we don't remember Ode to the Slain was quite Viking in its theme. So, well, that's a lot of info, I suppose. But yeah, that's some of what I had in mind personally.
That's great. So you mentioned Battleborn being a fun song to play live. How many shows have you guys done? Have you been doing a lot of shows lately?
Lately, well, we just did one like 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
but yeah, it was great. It was the first time in like 2 years because the damn pandemic, you know.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. We actually, so Heimdall, he keeps pretty good track of numbers and those kind of things. So he said today, actually just this day when we gathered to rehearse, he said, "Oh, this will be our 21st gig ever."
Nice.
On in this weekend. So wow, I didn't think about that. With that 21 gigs, that's cool. But so we have one gig on Saturday, and that's really exciting. We get to play all our songs, and we played a 40-minute set now, week before last week, and that was great. It's short but intense, you know.
Yeah.
And then we have one more. We have actually a release gig. So basically we are the big deal there, you know, in Malmo on the 20th of August. That's gonna be really awesome. I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah.
So, and then from there, I mean, have you guys started working on a new album at all, or you're just basking in the glory of this one?
Well, you know, thing is, like, there's this material that we have on the album. It's so old, some of it. It's incredible. So it's like, it feels so good to finally show it to people, because this is, you know, some of these songs, like Ode to the Slain is like the first song we ever wrote, and you know that was in 2014. So, you know, like,
wow,
this, we just been dying to, you know, like, come with new stuff for people, you know. So there's we've been talking a bit about the next release. Well, we haven't decided together. We have some ideas. I think all of us are very stoked to kind of go on kind of creatively by now. I think we have grown a lot since we started the band, and I think we're just gonna top it. We're gonna make it even better next time.
nice.
And we know how we sound now. We have found a sort of identity. People seem to like it. We've gotten some good reviews, and so yeah, I mean, it's not gonna be another release anytime soon, I would say, but certainly it's not gonna take 8 years like it did with this one. I would be so angry if that happened.
Well, see, I'm looking forward to the next one, because they say that the first album is a collection of your life up to that point, but the second album is always the hard one, because that's the one where you start from that point of after the first one and move to the second one. So that's where you find out how epic you really are.
Yeah. That's true. I agree. And I think there's always a sort of I was to say there's a little bit of anxiety when it comes to releasing your first ever album, because I think that's true for all of us. It's the first ever album we have released, any of us, at least when it comes to this level of seriousness, you know. And I think you really want to make a good impression. You really, because you have one first impression and you have no other, you know. We released a demo EP and a single, but you know, a first album, that's sort of like a big milestone.
It is.
So there you really want to deliver the goods, and I think we did it. I think we did the songs justice. You know, I wouldn't write the songs the same way if I started from scratch today, you know, but I think we sort of didn't mess around too much with them, and if we did anything, we improved upon what was there, because they have gone through some changes.
And where can people find your music?
Well, I know that we are on Spotify and YouTube. We also have a Bandcamp. I'm not sure about all the platforms, honestly, but I think maybe iTunes.
I know you're on Apple, because I found you on Apple.
Oh well, there you go. We're here on Apple as well. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I mean, I appreciate your time, man. It's been amazing talking to you. And like I said, I love the album. I love the songs on it. I love the direction you guys have gone. So I look forward to, what I really want to do is go online and look for some live performances, because I'm sure there's plenty of those out there.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we recorded a bit of from last time we performed, and let's see if we maybe release that material. There's not so much material of us playing live out there, but there probably will be in the future.
Yeah. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to chatting with you again.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. Me too.